As my buddy Randy Galloway says, and he's absolutely right, I get up every day with no plan of what I'm going to do. I usually do nothing all day, and I do it incredibly well. I know he's got a huge hand, and I also know that if I don't hit the three, then I'm gone. It's either, I'm looking for the set, and sure enough, I hit it. Well, I felt it. He had pocket aces.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up felting him for like $1,300. I didn't want to be the last person in America who didn't have a podcast, and I think we're down to 12 now.
For me, I'm more of like the front end of it.
I'm just making it up. Of a similar nature or character.
JMKast. JMKast.
But we get shocked often by Chris.
If you Google my name, it always pulls up Ric Flair and Blackjack Mulligan. That's another story for another time, though. Now, we might have other stories for other times, but Greg T. Johnson and Rick Mulligan here.
Greg T.
And
Johnson.
We have I'm not even going to waste time to get to this because it's just so exciting. We have a literal journalistic legend joining us today. I think almost 50 years in the business.
50?
Long time. He was just, it doesn't matter. He was amazing. Anyway, huge, loved his commentary on the Cowboys, loved his commentary on the Rangers, definitely the Mavs. I think he talked about the Stars occasionally.
I liked his commentary just on social issues. I hear laughter.
But my personal favorite is when he would literally say, "And we welcome town tonight, the hated insert team here," and then he would give the highlights.
And he's going to credit exactly who that
That's
came
awesome.
from.
But
who is it?
Without the legend, the absolute legend, Mr. Dale Hansen.
Mr. Dale Hansen, you're on.
Oh, guys, the way you were going there, I thought maybe you had somebody else doing this today. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate the introduction. And it was 50 years. It's still a hard number for me to wrap my head around. 41 years in Dallas, 50 years since I spun my first record at KCOB in Newton, Iowa. And I think 50 years is long enough. See,
Greg, I did my homework. I knew the number was right. I did a little bit of reading last night.
Thank goodness that one of us knew something about this guy.
So before we get too deep into this, I do have one hockey-related question, Dale. I want to get this out of the way super quick. Is it true that you didn't go to the game when the Stars won the Cup and Brett Shipp took your press pass?
No, I wasn't there. I was at a high school reunion.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is true. I take a certain amount of pride in this. I've been to every high school reunion that we've had in 55 years. I'd say we had a reunion every 5 years, and I went to every one of them. I don't know why I had such a loyalty and an allegiance to my hometown. But I did. And I was back in Iowa at a high school reunion. And I got home, as I remember, it's been a while, but as I got home, I remember listening to that game and watching that game. But you're not the first person to remind me that I wasn't there. But of all the games that I was going to miss, and again, Mike McDonald's one of my favorite people of all time in every possible regard. But if I was going to miss one of the really big games in sports, that game would probably have been my first choice anyway.
Pretty controversial at the time too. The way Brett Hall scored, because you weren't allowed in the crease.
I don't deny that I should have been there, but the same thing happened. The Mavericks were playing Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals, and I forget exactly what year that was, but I refused to go because same argument. I was headed back to Iowa for a high school reunion, and Michael Valentine was the news director at Channel 8, and at that time, and he was just livid. I mean, he just couldn't begin to understand how I could possibly miss a basketball game, a playoff game, for some stupid high school reunion. And I told him, well, that's how I do it.
You had a record to uphold.
That's who I am.
You had a record to uphold.
You got to keep that streak alive.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, I learned a long time ago, and I'll put my record up against almost anybody. But I worked really hard for a long time, and the whole business, even as I said in my so-called farewell, my farewell speech, if you will, this business consumed me for a long time. And then I finally came to the conclusion that while I still always loved the job and I had no problems with the demands of the job, that nobody lies on their deathbed saying, gee, I just wish I could go back to work one more day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I really do. I really did. I bought into that, and I believe in it to this day. Is that you just have to find a balance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some people find it too late.
Yeah.
But I lost my first family. My ex-wife. I mean, this is absolutely true. She said to me in St. Cloud, Minnesota, because believe it or not, I was working like 14-hour days. I was working 6.5 days a week.
Jeez.
And I was just never home. And she said to me, it's either this stupid job or us, because I'm taking the kids and I'm going back to Omaha. And I chose the job.
Yeah, we know who won that one.
Wow. And then, she ended up having an affair with a golf pro in Minnesota. And I'm like, of all the people that you could mess around with, you had to choose a golf pro? I mean, it's my favorite sport. It's my favorite sport. Don't be sleeping with the golf pro. I mean, sleep with the banker. Sleep with the baker, but not the golf pro. And,
well, wait a second. I thought your favorite sport was poker, and we can't get to poker quite yet. But I thought that was your favorite sport.
No. Well, number one, but it's not a sport.
It's
for
a game.
Another thing, by the way.
But it's on ESPN. It's on ESPN.
It's a competitive activity.
I don't care. But no, I mean, golf was for the longest time my favorite sport. And but again, I really had no qualms about that. And it's kind of the same thing about missing the Stars game years later. I live my life by a certain compass, and it's my compass only. And I'm not even saying that it's a good compass, but it's my compass.
Yeah.
And where it leads me, I follow and I go. And I knew that I couldn't go back home and be remotely happy and be a productive husband and father if I was pushing papers at Mutual of Omaha or some such thing. And I knew I had to stay in this business. And the only way I knew to get ahead in this business was to just simply outwork everybody. And every time I tell that story, people laugh because those who only know me the last few years at Channel 8, well, I didn't work very hard, at least by the terms of the hours that I put into the job. I think I did my job well.
I would agree.
But I think I had figured out that I don't need 14 hours anymore to do it. And that bothered some people. But bottom line is, I'm not skipping my 5-year high school reunion for I can't imagine anything that I would skip it for. As crazy as that sounds to a lot of people, I can't imagine, and I'm definitely not skipping it for a playoff game in Buffalo. I'm just not.
So Dale, I have a clip I'm going to play you real quick. It's a clip you ought to remember, and we're going to play it real quick, and you're going to listen. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it.
I will always love you for letting that little boy in that small farm town in Iowa live out his dream and grow old in Texas. I wish you all the very best. And I do hope you can all find a little of the happiness in your life that you have all made possible in mine. There will be no more TV tomorrows from me. So for everyone who's been a part of this one and all of these 41 years, I'm Dale Hansen. I really do thank you for watching. Good night and goodbye.
Well, there, Dale, that was your sign off. Almost to this day, almost a year, September 2nd, 2021. What have you been doing this last year?
That's kind of hard to believe too. That it's been a year already, but I've done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing.
I don't believe that.
As my buddy Randy Galloway says, and he's absolutely right. I get up every day with no plan of what I'm going to do. I usually do nothing all day, and I do it incredibly well. I need to change that, and I am in the process of changing that a little bit. I'm going to start my own podcast.
Oh, really?
I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be the last person in America who didn't have a podcast, and I think we're down to 12 now.
How did you let me beat you, Dale?
Yeah, how'd you let us beat you?
I think there's only 12 people left that don't have one.
Well, I've been emailing McKay trying to get McKay to start one for a couple of years too, because I'd love to hear him talk to me.
Yeah, but I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit. But I stopped playing golf. That's what really kind of messed things up for my so-called retirement life, if you will. Is that I stopped playing golf years ago, and golf was just my absolute obsession. I wasn't even a passion. I was just obsessed by the game. I would practice during the day, shower up, go to work. I played almost every day in one fashion or another. I had a golf club in my hands. And I really thought that when the day rolled around that I retired, that I would spend every day and almost all day on the golf course. But then I stopped playing golf about 6 years ago and haven't touched a club since. Then obviously, as you mentioned a moment ago, I thought, well, that's fine. I'll just play poker. And then I realized that when you're living on a pension and Social Security, I'm not good enough to play poker very often. So
that's not what I heard.
I do play. I love to play. I mean, you talk about obsessions. I mean, I watch every poker show on TV. I probably watched up, I would guess roughly about 8 to 10 hours of poker on TV every week. I just think it's the best reality TV on television. I mean, it's just fantastic.
If he learns about YouTube and with all the vlogs on YouTube, he's going to be in trouble.
I haven't exactly. It's kind of like people said when you play online poker, and I don't play online. I never did play online because I knew if I could figure that out, then I would just be staring at a computer screen for the rest of my life.
Yeah, don't go to YouTube and type in poker.
There's nothing.
It'll never stop.
No, but that's the point, and it's kind of the same reason I don't do that either.
Gotcha.
Is that if I could figure out how to get access to all these different poker shows, I'd probably never stop looking at my phone or the computer.
Who's your favorite?
So I don't too much. I just don't.
Who's your favorite players, poker-wise? Like, who you like to watch?
Daniel Negreanu by far.
He's got a great podcast as well.
I like. I'm sure he does. Yeah. I like a lot of the young guys, but Negreanu. I don't know. I like the way he plays. I like his style. I like his attitude more than anything, and he taught me a great deal about that. I used to be, and Greg, you know this to some extent, but I used to be the matter in hell guy at the table when you get hit with a bad beat or you miss a draw or whatever, and it doesn't bother me much at all anymore. And to the extent that it does bother me, I internalize it, which is maybe not necessarily all good either, quite honestly. But you're not going to find anybody in Dallas who's heard me screaming at their stupid play or how lucky they are. What I do, which I'm trying to fix it, and I really haven't yet, but it does bug me. When things are going really bad, I have a low monotone whine. And
is it more a murmur?
I hate it though, but I mean, I was just playing. I mean, just the other night I was playing, and I drew nothing. I had Queen 5, Jack 4,
10-3.
9
every set I ever get. Yeah,
every hand. And this was I went like 6 orbits around the table and never played a hand.
9 deuce is a favorite.
Remote. I mean, and you know me. I like to play. Give me the 5-6 suited. Give me the 7-8. I love to. If it's not too expensive.
Yeah, let's get in there.
Oh, I want to get in all the time. I will call pre-flop. That's why when I start playing Omaha, and this buddy of mine, we call him Devil because you talk about the guy who's lucky. This guy's. I mean, he made a pact with the devil. There's just no If, ands, or buts. And he and I had a challenge one time as to who would fold pre-flop in our 5-card, what do they call that, Congress Omaha game over at Thorntree in DeSoto.
Okay.
And I'll bet he and I went 4 months without folding a hand.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
Finally, I got him, and it cost me like $1,200 to push him off a hand pre-flop.
Right.
But I had to push all in for like $1,200. And part of it was, and this was in my good money days. I mean, I had a good starting hand. I had a great starting hand. But part of it was I've got to make him fold before I fold. And then again, if some guy made it, which they didn't, but if somebody was to make it $300 or $200 pre-flop, in Omaha I'm talking about, I'll fold. But as most people who know me, when I fold a hand pre-flop, it's usually really bad. It's really bad. I mean, I will call the blinds just about every time. And what I'm learning, unfortunately, and learning the hard way, is that when you call the blind with, say 8-9 suited, and the flop comes 9-4-3, now what do you do?
Yeah.
Now you're stuck in the hand.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, the king comes on the turn.
Oh, it gets worse.
Now what do you do?
Yeah. Slow down.
It's kind of hard to play. So what I have actually done, and believe it or not, I think it works for the most part. I still play the trash, like Negreanu always talks about playing the little cards.
Yeah,
I still play the trash, but I get away real fast, unless it's a really big flop and I've even lost, like when you flop 2 pair.
Yeah, and some flops trips on your straight draw.
You flop. You play 5-4 and you flop a 5-4. Well, that's still not a very good hand.
I got a buddy that plays 5-3 like it's aces, and I have watched that guy.
Yeah. No,
I have watched that guy just rip people's souls out with that hand. Yeah,
I play 5-3 suited every time. I mean, I play
Muggsy, man,
yeah.
Muggsy Bogues. He was 5-3, so we call it the Muggsy.
Yeah, I love the little cards because most people don't see it coming.
No,
especially if there's any kind of a raise, and depending on where I'm at in the game and what my stack is like. But I've made some. I would agree. I've made some rather stupid pre-flop calls with like a 5-3 suited. But to me though, the possible what do they call that? I forget the term now, but the implied odds is what I said, if I hit this hand, I know that guy's got a big hand.
Yeah,
if I hit this hand, I'm going to felt it. And I did this in Omaha one time. Actually, the Council Bluffs is where they have the river boats. And get this, Greg. I think I probably told you the story because I've told you about all of them at one time or another. But
yeah,
I called a $300. We're playing 2-5, and a guy pushes $300 pre-flop, and I had pocket threes, and I thought, well, there's something almost symmetrical about that. I mean, he's betting 300. And I've got pocket threes.
You use my logic sometimes.
The poker guys are telling you to do something.
So I know he's got a huge hand. I mean, I know he's got a huge hand. And I also know that if I don't hit the 3, then I'm gone. I mean, it's either, I'm looking for the set, And sure enough, I hit it. Well, I felt him. He had pocket aces.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up felting him for like $1,300. And he was screaming. I mean, this guy's yelling and screaming, and I'm the stupidest poker player in the world. And kind of my ultimate put down to him was, I said, well, you have to understand, number one, $300 is rather standard to see the flop at the game I play in Highland Park.
Yeah.
$300 at that time. I mean, at that time, this was several years ago.
Yes.
$300 to me at that time really wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
But at the same time, I think there was some poker logic involved.
I agree.
That if I hit that set,
you're going to stop.
I know for a fact I'm going to win or could win $1,400, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so I do that kind of stuff a lot. And even the same thing, like with a 5-3 suited or so. If I hit, it'll pay. But what I've also done is now, even if I hit the 5, if there's anything resembling a decent bet, I don't chase that down anymore. You
don't need to.
Because even though it looks like a pretty good flop, it's a great flop if you're calling with a 5-3. But I don't call that nonsense down anymore, and that saved me a little bit of money. But the main thing, back to your original point, I think Negreanu's funny. I think he's good. I think he's just got a great, healthy attitude at the table, and it's one of the things that I think everybody should have. Is that I play with a few guys that every so often, I mean, they get really upset when they lose, and
I do. I'm not a good loser. Well, I'm not a good loser.
Well, then you got go play
I have my
someplace
moments.
else.
I've gotten better. I've gotten better.
No, I get very angry in the car still. I mean, when I'm driving home,
9 deuce again, really?
When I leave a game, I'll tend to be kind of slamming the steering wheel about what a stupid call that was, or how lucky that guy got, or whatever. But I'm, for the most part, other than that low whining that I do all the time. And I wish I could stop it, and I promise you I'm going to keep working on it until I do. But it just gets incredibly frustrating when I see people all around me picking up aces, kings, and queens, and they're hitting their sets, and they're hitting their draws, and I'm sitting at the same table, and I've got queen 5 again. It's a very boring game in that regard. So it's got to help me. I think I've got it in a pretty good place right now. I play, once every couple of weeks or every week or so, and that's about it. And I play very small stakes, and for the most part, and I enjoy the heck out of it. I just love watching the cards go by. I just love watching the cards go by.
Well, here we are, a year out, Dale, and you took some time off. People have you told me this previously, that other people have tried to get you to maybe try to do a podcast or whatever, and for a while you weren't ready, but now you're ready. Right. Now you're ready, and you have one possibly coming up. I want to let you talk about that a little bit, and what you want to do specifically for your podcast.
Well, I appreciate that. We're planning on starting it. We're shooting right now for like the middle of September. I just ordered all the equipment. I'm just going to do it out of my house, which was a big part of me doing this. I'm going to set up a little studio, I guess, or whatever you call it, a little mini studio in my house.
By the grill at the pool.
Yeah, do it out by the pool maybe or something, but which will really tick off some people. But no, we're going to do it in the house. And I basically want it to be, and this is what I said to you the other day, I really want it to be like my sportscast on steroids. I'm going to talk sports. I'm going to talk a lot of sports, but I'm also going to talk a lot about the social issues that I've talked about in my commentaries on Channel 8. I'm going to talk about politics. I'm going to talk about all of it.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
I like it.
All right. Well, that is now officially word of the day.
Intro music for word of the day.
So since Dale just wanted to talk cards.
Oh, for word of the day?
Word of the day is going to be poker terms.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 of them for you.
Oh, 2?
Yeah.
We're going to do 2?
2 words a day. I think one's really quick.
All right.
Check raise.
Check raise. Okay. That is when, is that a good one for people that don't know anything about poker? Anyway,
okay.
Check raise is when you have a good hand.
Yeah.
And a good hand for poker, and then you check. You say, I'm not going to bet, because you're hoping someone else will raise.
Someone else will bet out. Yeah. And then you can pop it on them.
And then you pop it on them because you have like a killer hand or a really good hand, and you're gonna repop, which means we're gonna bet more money into the.
And the reason I said check raise, and the second one goes right into this.
Okay.
The nuts.
Ooh, the
So
nuts.
you check raise.
And we're not talking about pecans. We're not talking about
NUTZ.
peanuts,
NUTZ.
walnuts,
No.
cashews.
When someone says I have the nuts,
You want me to say that?
They expose their hand and they
What
have
are they
the
saying?
nuts.
They have the nuts or the absolute nuts?
The nuts, the best possible hand in the moment.
Well, what's
All the boards, everything's on the table. They won the hand. They have the nuts. Like I love doing that. When I have if I have the nut, I love
when you
saying
have
it.
the nuts.
I love being like I get the nuts and just dropping that, like flipping the hands over.
Yes, when you have the nuts, you have the best hand for the board.
Yeah.
It's a winning hand.
Yeah. Typically, like a straight flush or
I mean, there's different types
flush.
of nuts, though.
Well, there's
like
absolute nuts. There's the stone cold dead nuts.
See, we're gonna just confuse people.
Yeah.
I mean,
know that
poker,
someone says they got the nuts, they got the best hand.
I think that's another reason why we like poker.
I love it
because it has its own language and lingo, just like video, and we love all these eccentric, weird terms that people.
It's so funny to listen to Dale use some of those terms because it's like it proves that he does know this game so well.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how, and I tell him this, and I told him this. People play against him on purpose.
Yeah. They want the story.
They want the story.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Can you imagine? Can you? That's
I've never played against him.
That's hard though, as for him, because he's playing against something that isn't a thing really.
Right.
He may have the nuts.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes he does, and they still end up, pre-flop. He
Right.
has the best hand.
Yeah.
And then they get in with some sort of joke hand just because they want the story and won't go away. And then, anyway, yeah.
I will say this: next time he goes and plays, I want to go play. I want to go play the same time he does. I would love
keep
to go.
telling him to
I know he's
call
got to
me
text
or
us and let
text
us
me,
know,
but
'cause
he doesn't always do it.
I would love.
He's
to
done
go.
it before.
I'd love to go sit and play with him. I mean,
definitely
you
done
played
it.
one too. That's my wheelhouse.
Well, you
I
know
can't
where he
play.
likes to play.
I do. I like playing there a lot, actually. I've played there twice now.
Yeah, he switched over. But
I don't like the other place. I don't like the first place as much.
No,
Too many people.
it's,
Too many
well, it's
good-
larger. It's larger.
I'll argue
The
that they're the
stakes
same.
are totally different
Well,
there
yeah,
too.
Yeah, but I like the other place better. I just like the
Yeah.
atmosphere better.
Okay.
I think there's less.
I know why he told me why he likes the second place
Why is that?
because you can order food.
Yes. I
And
like
the
that
other
too.
place you can get snacks.
Yeah.
He likes to be able to order like someone's going to cook something. He likes that.
I like the tournaments at the second place better.
Really?
I do. I think they're structured a little differently. That they're not so like hurry up and get done. They are,
Right.
but they're not.
Yeah.
And the players aren't as good.
I like both places, and for anyone who cares what we're talking about, I mean, they're not paying for us or whatever, but the first place is called the Texas Guard House.
TCH.
Yep. They're in Dallas. It's over in the what's that shopping center called? Sam Moon. Sam Moon.
Yeah.
And then the other one's the Poker House.
Yeah. Which is not too far from TCH.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Texas. I like Poker House better.
I like them both. I'm gonna say both, but I like Choctaw better than WinStar for tournaments.
I don't have experience at WinStar tournaments, so can't. Choctaw's the only thing that I've played tournaments.
Well, it's mainly because Choctaw does WSOP, WPT,
Right.
all the big tournaments come to Choctaw.
I need to go play one of those again.
Yeah, they've had a few in the last year or so, and we haven't gone to any.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been able to. I've had other things that I've had to focus on,
Right.
like growing our business.
Yeah. But anyway, enjoy part 1.
That was episode 1, part 1 of
Dale Hansen.
So if you liked 1, which is all poker, and
Yeah.
if you want Dale's stories and you want the business,
Is it better? Is part 2 you think better than
2 and 3 had me?
Yeah.
The second. I'm just.
I mean, we are
It's going to be 3 parts.
you can't hear it in one episode because I mean he was gracious with his time and he talked to us for over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And there's so much gold. So much.
We didn't even scratch the surface, guys. We really didn't.
We didn't. There's so many questions we still wanted to ask and can't just for time's sake. And the thing is, he plays at the Poker House.
Yeah, go. You can hear him there
Someday.
all day. Whatever he says, a couple times a month.
Yeah, a couple times a month he'll show up at the Poker House, and he enjoys playing there, and that's a good way to potentially meet him and hear some
He'll
stories.
He'll share war stories. He'll tell you. He won't hold back.
Nope, he won't. And he's
Ask him the Mike
such a
Tyson
nice
story.
dude. He is a nice.
Agreed.
Yep. Very gracious. And anyway, so anyway, it's that time.
Like, share,
Part
subscribe.
one.
Part 1 of the Dale Hansen experience.
Oh
That's
my
what I'm calling
goodness.
it.
Yeah.
Part 1.
Poker.
Because it is an experience. 2 and 3.
Poker
are
and
amazing.
Dale, and a little bit about the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
Catch us next time. We're out.
Bye.